Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Sorry about last week. It just got a little crazy. You know what I mean? Everybody needs some time off. But it has been crazy around the office by and large. I've been staying very, very busy with a lot of things. I've got some pretty cool announcements. Hope you all are doing well. Um, if you do like the content we're doing, if you're trying to follow us, be sure you are going over to workingdragonmystic.com and you're checking out our locals community. You'll find a tab up there. I think it says Working Dragon Mystic Layer. It may just say locals for all I know now at this point. And click on that because that is going to take you to our locals community. We are building the community up over there so that whether it be for all the different, everybody's always got their new scare tactic for social media and the likes, right? And I don't want to say conspiracy because let's be honest, a lot of those things have come around. I didn't worry about them when I should have, but um, like many of you know, our gilded just got deleted for no reason. So go over there because that is going to be the kind of home place for our community. It's going to be a place where we can actually talk about more things because even here on YouTube, YouTube's been good to me, don't get me wrong. But even here on YouTube, there's a lot of things that they're getting tighter and tighter about that we can talk about or not talk about. And so be sure you're doing that. I am still uploading content here. Obviously, Magickal Coffee Hour is going to continue. We're going to be continuing topics as we can. So there is that. Also, awesome little thing. Um, we are looking at possibly even gravitating the online school over to locals. We don't know if we're going to be able to make this happen yet. I've told the supporters a little bit about this, and those who are already over in locals have probably noticed we've been doing some experimenting and testing. We are looking at putting some of the online courses available to local supporters. You could still purchase it so you own it, for example, over at the school at this time. But if you wanted to, if you're a supporter, you could. We're hoping to have them accessible for watch or streaming. I don't know what you call it. Anyways, you could, if you're a supporter, you'd have access to a playlist where you could watch the courses as long as you are a supporter. And we're also looking at uploading newer courses there and doing some workshops there. And that gives me a few perks personally. And this is one of the big perks that for me and you, I think. So, what this will allow me to do, if this works, of course, and Jade, yes, definitely drop us some links to the locals in there. That'd be great. Um, like the Norse course, like I can film the first section of the Norse course very easily without having to worry about perfection, paralysis, the editing, making sure the entire course is done. And I can upload it to locals, and you guys can start working through the material as I get filmed instead of waiting for the entirety to drop. And I think it's going to be a huge load off my shoulders. Which, just so y'all know, that is a big deal to me because I've been doing so much focusing on just getting out YouTube content. This video has to be done. This video has to be done. This video has to be done. That I have lost track of my own personal practice, or I've been just running myself ragged and exhausted. And that's not good. And that's not good for you all either. Because then I honestly think when I get into that kind of robot, soulless slush, just doing the content because it's on the calendar, I feel I become a very poor teacher and a very poor communicator, right? Um, so this is going to help me and also help me get more content to you all. Um, and I'm also probably going to I'm still wanting to do the Goetic series and the Angel series, but I may slow those videos down. Sorry, I may do it because they've become so repetitive and boring. I actually kind of don't look forward to filming those these days. The Mage Minded series and possibly talking more about my private practice, those kinds of things. Keep an eye out for those. And also, it lets me talk about broader topics, which I really like on this channel. I don't want this channel just be this one topic we talk about predictably. So I get bored if I'm doing the same thing over and over, people. I apologize. So for my sanity, cuckoo, cuckoo, for what's left of it, and stress levels and that and the people that have to put up with me, we may see a slight shift in those contents. But if you have ever wanted to check out any of the courses, we've actually uploaded, I want to say 3 of the Dragon Magic 101 videos already. And I think all 3 of those are actually open to members. Some of the there's a lot of content open to members. And Dragon Magic 101, some of the early videos will be open up. The full course won't be open to members. The full course will only be accessible to supporters, but some of them will be open to members if you want to get kind of a sampling of what might be in the courses. Something to consider. I'm using Dragon Magic as the tester, so we'll see how it goes. All right. With that said, and again, check us out over at workingdragonmystic.com and check out the locals community. One thing, it failed, but some of y'all saw this. Some of you asked about it. I actually put some ball caps because a lot of people do like ball caps. Hell, I wear them when I'm working in the yard. They wanted ball caps, and we were tinkering with the concept when the Gilded went down. We made the joke we're going rogue and we're going pirate. So Born Oldest, our admin, made us our own personal working Dragon Mystic Jolly Roger, and I slapped that on a ball cap because I wanted to. These are available at the merch store now. You can get these. As is the Fey Ritual Circle Tapestry that is available now over at the Working Dragon Mystic shop as well. If you've been waiting on that, we went ahead and made it live too. All that's on this is our own little personal Jolly Roger. It's also on the back. So if you're like me, you wear it forward or backwards, depending. You got it. If you don't like caps, don't buy it. But I had a lot of people asking me about that. So there you go. I was actually happy with it. It looks pretty good. So let's see what we got in the questions. Today we're going to do old school coffee hour. You guys got questions? We'll see if I have an answer. I'm not going to promise anything. Let's see. Jackie, good to see you. Lori, good to see you. Gabriel, hello. Violet Star, welcome. Creator, good to see you. I'm super new to locals, but I will become a local supporter eventually. Hey, great to hear. Great to hear. Appreciate it, Creator. If there's any way to do it, let us know who you are over there. We always like that. I know sometimes the locals' names don't match, but hey, we love our community. And locals is dead set for that whole free speech. You do your thing. So we don't have to worry about being randomly deleted over there. So that way we can always stay in touch with our community, which is important to me. I've come to love you all. Oh, Drake, I love your red shirt to go with the rest of the Thank you. This is I'm not too I love this shirt. It's comfortable, but it's not one that I like the way it looks on me. And I thought to throw my vest on with it, and I actually got to admit the red shirt with the vest looks a lot better than just the shirt. So thank you. Appreciate it. Heck, I'm actually happy I can zip the vest. Brandon Smith, you're awesome. Keep up the dragon magic. You know I will, man. You know I will. That's one of the reasons I am letting you all know what I'm doing is because my personal practice, my personal research, and spending time with the entities and especially the dragons is so important to me. So yes, you can bet on that. And you can definitely, part of this is I'm actually wanting to do more dragon magic videos, and I can't weave those into the planned videos, as it were. My creative process is I'm sitting there doing something else, an idea pops in my head, and I run do that. That's my creative process. So that's what we're going with. So yeah, be looking forward to some of those dragon magic videos popping up. Can you do spell tutorials? I can. This is one of the things. I am going to plan and try and do some more spell tutorials possibly here on YouTube, definitely on locals, depending on how we upload things. But we should be able to. The question I always have is what kind of spells, because that's usually where I run into the problem. And spells are done in so many different ways. So I got to either, you know, it's like we're going to do this spell tutorial specifically. Of course, the locals workshops, there's a lot of spells that are usually shown in those, but I will try to do more spell tutorials of some kind. If you all have a specific preference, because we've got like I think two or three prosperity spells now. I think there's even a luck spell, but yeah, I'll work on it. I'll try and get more spell tutorials up for different things because one of the interesting conversations that took place in the locals community today was about life is magic and how magic takes place in places and areas that might not feel so magical. And I almost want to dive into spell tutorials into those areas to really pull back the curtain on just how magical mundane life is and how if we apply it to these areas, how incredibly awesome it can make life. So that's not a bad idea, Gabriel. But if you all have any spell tutorials for specific things like luck or it, good hair day, I don't know, whatever it is you want, put that in comments below the stream. Or put it in the community tab on YouTube and it'll let me know. And if you're a local supporter, you drop it over at locals, I'll see it too. But yeah, we can do more of those. Thank you for letting me know. T, good to see you. Let's see, Rindani, how tall are the rulers? Well, if you're talking about the elemental rulers in Dragon Magic, the smallest one of them would actually be Terrafana, and she's larger than the entirety of the Appalachian Mountain Range. So I don't know the exact height of that, but she dwarfs Godzilla, okay? Because that's several thousand feet up and thousands and thousands of miles wide. I mean, she's huge, and she is the smallest. When you get to the higher rulers, one of their wings could actually eclipse and block out the entirety of our sun from Earth. So consider that too. Very freaking big. But I don't have an exact number to give you, and I can only give you a kind of a visual reference. Can I ask different advice on creating? I mean, you can. Like, if you check out my servitor video, I did one. In all truth, that is hands down the best method I have come across. It's solid in the creation, it's solid in the function, and it keeps any things from going haywire. But I'll be the first one to tell you there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of different ways of doing it. Some of them dumber than others. So, like, if you check out that servitor video, that would be Scarlet. That would be my recommended method of doing it there. I'm trying to think of, like, if I have another recommended one that I've done before, because I really don't. That's really the best one I've used over the years, and they all really are. All the good ones are really some variation thereof. So, is there like a methodology that you're curious about? Could you kind of refine the question, maybe? Let's see. Lori, locals is awesome. I'm really enjoying it. Thanks for all the videos and materials. Oh, no problem. No problem. Both myself and the admin are trying to make sure you guys get plenty over there. Since we're allowed to actually share things. Rindani, there's a video. Oh, well, yep. Let's see. Vicky, good to see you. Hey Drake, it's been a while. How's it going? I am doing good. I am doing good. I really am. I've been extremely busy, had a lot going on, been juggling things, been exhausted. I can't say life is getting calmer, but I can say at least I'm getting to a point where I'm managing it better. So I'm a bit more energetic and whatnot. It's just a matter of, realizing where the bumps are. We all have to realize where the bumps are and attempt to measure them. Gabriel, what psychic ability are you talented with most? I don't really know. I've had different friends tell me different things. And it also depends on how you talk about psychic abilities because like I got one friend who tells me I'm exceptionally gifted at seeing the future. And truth be told, and I've told him this, that's not actually true because what he's given me credit for is I'm an extremely logical person who's good at seeing patterns. So I can see patterns and I can see how this event will lead to this event, which will lead to this event, which will lead to this event, much like a person playing chess. That's not a psychic ability, that's pure logic. Um, so it depends on how you define psychic abilities. As far as divinations go, scrying is kind of one of the areas where I do really well. I like it. It's been an extremely reliable divination for me. If you count that as a psychic ability, then yeah. If we're talking about arcane senses and we're not just using psychic ability as the term, um, sight and hearing are usually the two that I'm better at. I don't know why. Um, those do tend to come through really, really well. The next one from there is actually smell. Um, but I mean, so if you break it up into the clairaudience, clairsentience, it'd be the sight and sound are the ones that come through the easiest for me, personally speaking. I don't know if that answered your question. I hope it did. Because just the generic term psychic abilities, that's a huge category. So I did the best I could with it. Can I tell you some books on mythology and lore of dragons? I actually cannot, unfortunately, I cannot find any good books on mythology and lore of dragons outside. Like if you go into other mythologies and read stories about dragons through Chinese mythology, Japanese mythology, Norse mythology, um, Aztec mythology, you'll find a lot of different bits and baubles and pieces, even European mythology. If you're asking for mythology based solely around dragon magic, I have not found any of it. The dragons don't seem to be too keen on. Well, most of the mythology was written when they didn't really have a whole hell of a lot to do with us per se, and a lot of the mythology was written in ways that didn't. They weren't specifically talking about the dragons themselves, though. If you look at more of the Eastern mythology, I do suspect some of those were actually talking about actual dragons, not more of a representation or an analogy. But unfortunately, no, I cannot actually point you to a book on those. Sadly. Um, if anyone knows any good mythology books based around dragons specifically, let us know. Um, hey, Angela, good to see you. Glad you can make it. Creator, if you're already doing wards, a boundary spell's just not going to do anything. A boundary spell is, for lack of a better word, any boundary spell is basically just a temporary shield, like a bubble shield. Go check out my bubble shield video or basic shielding. That's all a boundary spell is. In your home, you have something called a threshold. A threshold is there regardless of what you do, so long as you actually feel this is your home. And the fact that you're already putting up protections and wards, those should do it. A ward is your best actual metaphysical boundary, assuming you did the ward properly. And any boundary spells temporary, it would last less than 24 hours. So if the wards are not doing it enough, you're either drastically overcomplicating it, you're doubting yourself, or you're paranoid. I don't know which the category would be. If you are a local supporter, we did do a ward workshop that should be viewable by supporters, and there should be another ward workshop coming up in the near future. I think I'm pretty sure. Um, so you look at your setup there, and you're finding that you need some work. Consider maybe checking that out too. But a boundary spell, if the wards ain't helping, a boundary spell is not going to do squat. Um, do, 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 do. Oh, we jumped. Let's see. Gabriel always had a lot of visions and dream realms. I honestly, like, I rarely ever dream, and there is this concept, like, a lot of my dreams give me that deja vu sense, but I don't trust them. I don't trust visions. I don't trust dreams. Um, for a few reasons. First off, the number of yahoos that come up to me on the street, um, and they're always talking to me about some vision they saw or this, and usually they're wanting some kind of handout or some pat on the head, like, "Oh, good, yes, you did good." It's annoying. But then there's the things that they say that they're actually trying to spin an agenda and get you to support their agenda, which also pisses me off beyond all reason. And then as I became known in the community and different events where I was teaching and workshops, and well, God, now that I'm on YouTube, um, let's be honest, they're all just trying to get a piece of the pie and trying to worm their way into my wallet or into my resources, and ride my coattails, which again pisses me off. I've never actually, let's see. Yeah, I cannot think of one actual true vision that I know of that actually happened as is. Period. That's not to say I don't think that some form of precognition doesn't exist. Um, oh, let's see. I have dragon mythos books, but none of them have to do with dragon magic. Yeah, I don't know if he means tying it to dragon magic or dragon mythology, because like just dragon mythology, I there's got to be books out there. There's lots of. I just weirdly all my mythology books don't go into dragons. Um, I know that makes no sense. Like, Drake, you study dragon. I do study dragon magic, but so many of the mythologies don't really tie. Why is my hat crooked? Oh well. So it's, you know, I've weirdly human dragon mythology has never interested me as much. And I don't know why. It's just one of those weird things. Let's see here. Does it happen to you as well that you sometimes seem to know what will happen next in the near future, or is it simply knowledge of human nature? Okay, Redonda, that's a slightly different question. That's an interesting question. So the answer is yes, technically it does happen to me. So part of it, and it's multiple, it's not like a singular answer here, unfortunately, Redani, because on one hand, and those who know me, again, I recognize patterns, I'm seeing patterns, and I've been around long enough that I also know where these patterns lead, right? Um, and there's a lot of things negative that I saw coming that I told people about, and they're like, "Yeah, that's never going to happen," and then it happened. That being said, I do also use my scrying to look forward and make plans and to make different moves and, plan my spell casting and see what certain how certain events may pan out. Now, the kicker here is anytime you look forward, regardless of how you look forward, there are multitude of roads and pathways and different events that can alter that course, right? So it's not just a straight line that you have to look down. You have to look down the line, find your first intersection of like 5, 10, or 20 ways it can go. You're going to have to logically determine which is the most probable routes it'll take. And you have to, look down that. That's why the closer it is, the easier it is to circumnavigate it, because there's far fewer options. The further out you go, the options exponentially increase. So through scrying, I have gotten pretty good at that, but then I'm still technically applying that logic. Now, as to Other things like knowing when to get the flip out of the way, even though I don't know something's there. Yes, that's happened too. And this is, there's a lot of different explanations for this, and it is a form of precognition. But it's trained heavily in fighters. You don't necessarily see something as you still know it's there. Um, and I have trained in martial arts quite a bit. But, granted, I'm out of shape. I got to get back in shape. I'm working on training back. But a lot of that combat training that doesn't go away. It doesn't. And even to this day, like I know to snap my hand out to try and catch something before someone drops it. It's or I know someone's about to throw a brick at me for having a southern accent in the wrong part of the country. I those things do happen, and I don't personally know if it's on the metaphysical side or if it's more the combat training side. My personal theory is I think the two are interlaced and interconnected. I think those survival, combat, natural instincts that would be in the animal world that kind of gives you that warning that, um, I do believe those are tied into the arcane senses. a- And I do believe that those forms of training and application just kind of hone them and strengthen them. And that's why, like, you'll find a lot of hunters who spend time in the woods actually stalking prey. They develop these just as well as magicians do, sometimes actually better. Same thing with MMA and martial arts. These individuals can develop these better than many magicians because they're putting them into a mundane active use where they're getting applied with consequence. A lot of magicians don't train with consequence. So my theory is they're just interlaced, and it's because of the stupid life, crazy life. I don't know how you want to describe my life, but the adventure that has been my life has trained them far more than my actual magical practice has trained them. But that's just one of those. Um, duh, 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 duh. Yeah, a lot of the mythologies do demonize them, and that might be why I just don't bother digging through them. I really don't. Rainbow. Hey Drake, what's the verdict? Bullets for magic. What's the correspondence? Iron brass, powder. Honestly, if you're looking at that, so I was actually considering doing a video on this, but it's one of those things where when you're looking at a bullet and you want to look at the correspondence, look at the material. So look at any correspondence for iron, look at any correspondence for brass. You can look at the components of black powder. The black powder, by and large, it's more combustible and transformative. It's also black powder goes in heavily into setting things into motion, and more specifically, transformation through motion. So bullets can actually start to take all these things in. Now, bullets can also go into some defensive areas as well as some offensive areas. They can also deal with harvest abundance. They can tie in with animals, um, dietary health, because they all have these. Now, naturally, one of their big associations is going to be in combat related areas, if you will, because they are a weapon. I mean, they are a weapon, period. Even if you're using them for hunting, they're still a weapon, right? There's no one out here who, even if you're jibbing a deer with a stick or a spear, there's no weapon. A spear is a weapon. It's a hunting weapon in that instance, but it is still a weapon, right? They would definitely tie into those just off the top of my head. I haven't had time to research it. I was planning to do something else, but since you asked, there you go. Hope that helps you a little bit. Um, I'm talking about very near future. In my case, happened in the time frame, few hours. Those do pop up. They do. They get a sensation where something's going to go sideways, and I have a pretty good idea what it is, and oftentimes it pans out. I've learned to trust my gut feeling. Um, see, immortal, his element would be dark roast. That's somebody asking my element. I personally don't subscribe to the concept that a person embodies a singular element. I don't even really give a damn about my zodiac because I don't believe you can truly put a person into a box. And if you limit yourself to a box, that's exactly what you did. You just put yourself in a prison and took your own power away. Also, please never use your zodiac or any or element as an excuse. If you are an ass, if you are a dick, if you do something to someone, do not look at them and say, "It's not my fault. I'm a Scorpio. It's not my fault. I'm a Sagittarius. It's not my fault. I'm a fire element." Horse shit, you're a dick. Okay? That's where I stand on that. Um, however, if I remember correctly, to the people who did those little Wiccan little elemental association, what kind of witch are you? I usually get stuck in fire and water, depending on the test. But I like immortals better. I'm dark rose. Let's go with that one. Because a dragon magician should actually focus on balancing all of the above. But there we go. Dark rose. Coffee should get its own element. It really freaking should. I respect your work. Have been coming to your channel for a while now and wanted to ask how I can begin to connect deeper with my guardian dragon. Can they have incarnated as past pets? Okay, great question. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. Appreciate it. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. No, they can't incarnate as pets. Dragons cannot incarnate as anything on the physical realm. They can't. They can't incarnate as humans. They can't incarnate as pets. And that's because that draconic energy, even a small bit of it, will wreak havoc on the physical plane. So they cannot actually be on the physical plane in the physical. Secondly, it's literally like the worst punishment you could bestow upon a dragon is to take it from being a dragon and to make it into something else. So that would be a fate worse than death. They would lose their memory, they would lose their knowledge, they would lose their wisdom, they would lose everything that came before that incarnation. So it's worse than death to them, unfortunately. And I'm not trying to sound harsh to your question. Your question is not dumb by any means. It's a great question. And if this does sound harsh, I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm laying it out how the dragons view it, and why it's not something that actually happens. I know there's a lot of people who want this, and emotionally they're like, this is my little fur baby. He's an incarnated dragon. I've seen it a lot. But unfortunately, the dragons don't do it. Like I said, it'd be a fate worse than death to them. It'd be really freaking cool. It'd be really freaking cool. Cause yeah, I could go with a bulldog or a Rottweiler or a bull mastiff, even bull mastiff. That was the incarnation of a dragon. Unfortunately, it don't work that way, so I'll just have to deal. Let's see. I want to take some survival training. Any good places to get survival training? An individual I've come to respect. I've not taken his classes personally. Most of my classes were taken before I knew who this individual was. Though, honestly, when I get back to the area, like I want to take his courses. I really do, just for look up Dave Canterbury. He actually has a channel here on YouTube as well. But I want to say it's called Self-Reliance Outfitters. He has a school. I want to say it's based in Ohio. I think it's Ohio. And they do regular classes from beginner to more advanced. and it's a very practical, no nonsense approach to survival. And it's actually very reasonably priced for the different weeks and weekends that the classes take place if you can do it. I think it's all on site. I don't think none of his are actually online. I'm at this time, I don't know any online teachers, and I honestly don't recommend online survival classes because some things you need hands-on. You can watch YouTube, you can learn things, but you still need to go out and practice them and make sure they function. If you're not in the woods, if you're not applying them, they're useless. But that would be my recommendation. Check out Dave. Um, I've actually thought about shooting him a message to see if I could drag him on here, but I doubt it. I don't know why I'd want to come on here. I really don't. Other than I respect him, but seriously. Um, oh, we jumped again. Crap. Uh, Go Diego, go. Hey Drake, how do you enter the theta gamma sync trance state? Well, there's a lot of people who have a lot of different opinions about this. Technically speaking, me personally, I actually just focus on my breathing, count myself down in deep breaths. Um, unless I'm doing Norse working. Well, no, I more or less do the same thing. And when I'm doing Norse working, I usually use breathing and some form of a golder to bring me down to it. Though at the same time, any basic meditation can do it. And I've heard EA talk about an interesting method of doing it, which I've tested, and weirdly, it works. I don't know how it works. I don't know why it works, but at least getting you into that theta gamma sync visually for like opening arcane sight, it kind of gives me a headache when I do it. But like if you look forward a little bit and look up to where like the wall and the ceiling meet at that right angle, like if you stare at that point, it'll start to blur and almost go like snowy TV fuzzy a little bit. Somehow, some way, that kind of, at least for visual, that does seem to trip that. Interestingly, I don't know why. Um, but as far as like full ritual meditation, journey work, I don't find it works for that. Um, the best thing I can tell you is what I teach my students is to work in an arcane sanctum, build an arcane sanctum, spend time in that sanctum, learn to get comfortable. Like if I'm sitting in this chair, don't lay down, first off, sit in the chair, get comfortable. And when you start out, I want you to feel the chair, you know, the chair. But as you're working in the sanctum, I want you to completely forget the chair. I want you to be able to shift your mind from feeling the chair to feeling the sanctum. And somewhere in that shift, you'll naturally slip right into there without trying. That's the best way to do it in my mind. And that's going to give you that access to more than just the visual. Um, Virtual fireplace. Can you please quickly tell the difference between draconic versus full dragon magic? Yeah, I did a video on this that'll explain it better if you want to check that out. Draconic magic uses dragons as an archetype and a symbol. They're not working with literal dragons there. So in that case, Lucifer takes on the image of a dragon. Lilith will take on the image of a dragon. They take on imagery and symbology of dragons throughout the ages and throughout mythology, not literal dragons. Okay. They're using dragons as a symbol in draconic magic. Dragon magic is working with dragons. You're not working with Lucifer. You're not working with Lilith. You're not working with any of these other spirits or demons that are sometimes randomly associated with dragons. You're working with dragons. That's the short and direct of it. Um, let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Where were we? I got lost. Sorry. My bad. I trying to figure out where I was and I went silent. I apologize. Oh man. Okay. Thank you. No problem. No problem. Glad I could answer the question. And again, thank you for the compliment. I do the best I can for a crazy redneck. Um, question for the whole Angela says, question for the whole crew. How do you like your coffee? And with what snack? There's Angela, just randomly throwing something in. Yeah, I love it. Honestly, I drink my coffee black. Always do. I don't do anything with my coffee. And Immortal's right. I do prefer dark roasts. Favorite snack? I don't really do snacks. Huh. I haven't really thought about that. So, like many of you know, I'm like I've not done carnivore strictly as well as I'd like, and I'm always trying to get better. But carnivore is how I choose to eat and live. Um, and because of that, I just don't really eat a lot of sweets and snacks now. It used to be my favorite snack with coffee was an Oreo cookie. They just dunk amazingly in coffee. They're just no, 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 no. Those used to be my crack. They really did. I don't really have snacks anymore that I eat, so I can't answer that outside the used to goods. The used to goods. Um, let's say, Vicky, is there a dragon that I dislike working with, and why? Have you ever met a dragon you didn't get along with, and have been in danger? Even is that something that can happen? Have I met dragons I dislike? Yes, too many to name. Actually, to be truthful. Um, have I met dragons I don't get along with? Yeah. Actually, I even have dragons that I like that I don't get along with. Uh, interestingly enough. And have I ever met a dragon where I felt I could be in danger? Technically speaking, the answer is yes to that. Because there's not a dragon in existence that a human being's not technically in danger when you consider what they're capable of and what they can do should you motivate them to do so. Now, some dragons are definitely more prone to that than other. But I would say that I the moment you leave the first four and go into the higher elements, I would say safety has all completely left the building. Safety is no longer there. You are at there's no safety net. And those dragons, they even the rulers get downright difficult to work with, and they don't pull their punches. And that's why a lot of people get in a lot of trouble with those particular elements and those dragons. Um, but yeah, I have actually worked with dragons like that, and definitely ones that like I can think of one. I absolutely adore him. Him and I get along great, but just being in his presence is a danger. So I can think of it. I don't have permission to give names, but I do. I do know dragons. Virtual fireplace. Important distinction indeed. Very cool. No problem. Glad I was able to answer that. Um, some entities seem to test our boundaries. Yes, most entities, honestly, entities will test your boundaries. Life is not meant to be a nice, smooth, flat little cakewalk with no bumps. Testing your boundaries is also pushing you outside your comfort zone. So they're going to poke you, they're going to prod you, they're going to make you think about things you didn't. They're going to get you outside that comfort zone. They're going to trigger your ass. Because if that was able to trigger you, bingo, whatever triggered you, that's something you need to work on. If your goal is self-mastery, self-empowerment, if you find something when they poke and prod you that annoys you, bothers you, triggers you, makes you emotional, that's something you need to work on. So yeah, they're doing their job when they do that. Um, Let's see. Manifest. Someone tried to tell me I can't have an astral sanctum because you can't manipulate the astral realm through thought. The astral realm is completely subjective to thoughts entirely, so that doesn't make any sense. First off, and secondly, I've had a lot of people tell me a lot of things, but that didn't make them true. Creator, this is your path. It's yours to walk. A lot of people will say a lot of things and a lot of shit. You have to determine, are you going to go by what they say, or are you going to walk your path? You notice, again, it's self-mastery, self-empowerment, not I took a poll of 10 people and went with what they said, right? There's one reason on this channel that over and over and over and over and over again, I say this channel, we focus on results. I don't care about your theories. I don't care about your spirituality. I don't care about your religion. I don't even care if you have an entire Library of Congress that says this spell creates this result. First off, the government's really good at fucking lying to everybody. So if you had that, obviously I probably never believe that. But I care about results. If you take A and you apply it to B and you get C, what's C? That's the result. That's why we keep the journal. That's why we do the testing. That's why we apply it. I don't give a flip what someone says. You know how many people out there don't believe in magic? Okay. Pencak, love the man. Great man. Love his show. Love his talent. Very intellectual individual. Absolute atheist. Does not believe in magic. Does not believe in spirituality at all. And I think that's wonderful for him. Does that mean magic no longer works because Pencak says magic doesn't work? No. Pencak saying magic doesn't work doesn't change my path one iota. Not at all. Apply. If you're getting the results, stop worrying about what other people think. Think for yourself. Believe in yourself. Hope that helps. Thanks, Drake, and loving the channel. No problem. No problem. Glad you're enjoying the channel, mate. Mugs up. If you haven't, pop over to Locals. Join us over there. We got a lot of shenanigans going over there, too. Jade will probably drop the link will be below, or it's at workingdragonmystic.com, and Jade will probably drop it at random. No, never apologize for your randomness, Angela. We love it, right? We love it. You be you, Angela. You be you. Walk your path, Angela. We love it. Let's see. Critics, I'm sipping cocoa now and eating my fave snack, peanut butter and honey sandwich. Oh, God, that's a good sandwich. That's a good sandwich. That is a good sandwich. Not going to lie. Hey, Black, try this for me. Whether it's with cocoa or coffee. Okay, I don't eat sugar no more, right? I'm carnivore. But try this for me. Either your favorite cocoa or your favorite coffee. Black coffee actually works better for this. Just if like milk and sugar coffee, not as good. Go with the cocoa if you have to do that. Take a nutter butter cookie, put a little honey on that, dip that some bitch in that coffee or your cocoa. Do it. Seriously, it's good stuff. It might not be good for you, but it's good. And we jumped again. Crap. Is there a drag right now, Angela, that people claim hates humans that I've gotten along with? Okay, hate's a strong word in my book, though. That's a powerful word. That's powerful. And I can't think of a dragon right now where I've heard people say this dragon hates humans, right? Can't think of one. Now, I know plenty of dragons that kind of view humans the way I view stupid people and wants nothing to do with them. I don't necessarily hate stupid people. I mean, hell, I teach. I actually hope when I meet a stupid person, I usually, I actually try, no matter where you're at on what I think might be the intellectual barrier or whatnot, I always try to help my fellow man, right? I do. So I can't use the word hate, but at the same time, I go out of my way to avoid stupid people. Like if I know this event's going to be full of stupid people, I will avoid it because that's just irritation I don't want. And because of that, I have largely become a hermit these days because of where I'm currently living. But that aside, so I do know several dragons like that I have gotten along with, and I'm not going to put a feather in my cap and be like, hey, they like me, because I don't think it's a matter of them liking me. I think it's more we're both just antisocial assholes that don't really count as liking. It's just we see eye to eye on so many things, but that has happened. Um, let's see, Immortal. What practices have the biggest result when path working? I would say this is largely dependent on the practitioner. For me, um, when I'm doing path workings, um, I my go-tos in all path workings are going to be trance work, journey work, soul travel, evocation, um, and I definitely lean into scrying and divinations and applying those. Um, those are the areas where I find works best for me. I got one friend who, for them, they actually avoid evocation in its entirety and focus more on trance and journey work, and some divination work. And then I know one individual that they've built entire path workings around daily spellcraft and avoided all the other things. So, you know, in my experience as a teacher, so let's go a little broader here, Immortal. Let's go broader as my experience as a teacher working with individuals. I do think on the broad scale, this ain't going to say everybody, but on the broad scale in general, I do think journey work, meditation, um, evocation are the more powerful things that really need to be put into a solid um, path working that gets the most bang for your buck for most people. Divinations, it also is a good one. The problem is with divinations, I found that divinations usually you got to be careful how you're doing the divinations. Too many people lean on divinations as a crutch, and that actually pulls away from the other things. So unless you are divination, that and $3 won't get you a cup in this economy. See, Scarlett, I'm creating a child healing servitor. I want to install the power of childish wisdom. I would like to hear your thoughts about wisdom in being a child. So there is wisdom in childlike mentality. There is. Um, here's the kicker. The thing that makes child so there's wisdom comes in different packages. And when we're talking the wisdom of a child, okay, the wisdom of the child is observant, paying attention to everything around them. There's nothing boring to a child, truly. They're always just curious. They're learning. They're absorbing information like a freaking sponge, right? The highs, the lows, it all has a positive influence on their growth in some way. They are just held in awe and amazement over the simplest little things, right? And they laugh and they take true joy in the world around them. And that joy, that observation, that sense of absolute wonder of a child is where that wisdom comes from. Because not only are they living in this joyful little child mentality, but that same joy is also what also triggers such fear and terror. And it's why children can get scared. It's why they cry so drastically. But all that information is just constantly making them learn from every little thing, the smallest little thing. And there's a point where you stop that. the childlike wonder disappears. The constant observation of the world disappears. That constant desire to learn from everything disappears because you think you know it. It's boring. Oh, look at this. It's just another cup. I don't give a crap about that. Oh, look at that. It's just another soda. I don't care about that. Oh, these people just get so desensitized that they forget how wonderful the freaking life is, and they just throw it away. It's like, it doesn't matter. And they really start getting dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber because of that. And then, Lord help us, we hit our teenage years where we think we know everything, but honestly, we know jack shit. And we basically tune out the whole world until what, 25-ish, 21, 25-ish for some people. This day and age, I think it's going higher. God help us. So there is actually something to that. There is something to that. But the key with that is, if you're actually wanting to do that, you got to make sure that you're allowing for all aspects of that wisdom to be there, because there's a lot of aspects that are truly beneficial in that wisdom that we as humans, in our ignorance of compassion, actually will try to prevent. Think of Finding Nemo. Anybody watch that movie? If nothing ever happens to him, then nothing will ever happen to him. So proceed with caution on that. It's a good idea, but if you don't implement it correctly, you can actually cause more harm with that concept, because you could actually block off an entire section that is needed to be there, if that makes some sense. Let's see. We're getting close. Jay's going to start throwing clocks at me soon. Oh, Jay, thank you for dropping that link. You jumped right after I saw the link. Let's see, Angela, microwave Oreos. What now is my microwave Oreos? I've never microwaved them. Creator, what is the status of the Fae course? So the Fae course is actually one of the reasons we're shifting gears, and there is it's coming along nicely. And if the new changes that we're making to the school work out, then we should start seeing some more. You should start seeing actual course work posted at locals, possibly by the winter solstice. If everything that I'm hoping goes the way I'm hoping. A few bumps, we might see it longer. But with those changes, we should start seeing some of the Norse course and the Fae course, if those changes work out as intended. So, yeah, good question on that, actually. Good question. The tapestry, the Fae tapestry that I will be, it's already up at the merch store if you want to purchase that for your personal use, but it'll also be, it won't be required, but it'll be suggested use for the Fae course. And if you want my opinion, there's 3 sizes. Get the medium. The small one feels too small to me, and the big one's really, really freaking big. It's too big. It's not really functionally big. The medium's a nice size. That's the one I usually get for my stuff. But yeah, Fae course. Hopefully, we will be seeing something on that very soon. We did lose a lot of data when stuff got deleted. Dumbasses. But luckily, I got plenty of notes that I can compile, put back together, and whatnot. And I'm hoping that, again, if the transition that we're seeing moving the school to locals in that format, I'm hoping that we'll start to see some rollouts to those workings, potentially as early as the winter solstice. Let's see. When I think of the wisdom of children, I honestly think of that scene in Star Wars where they're trying to find a lost freaking planet, and the kid's like, well, obviously. Because they see simple solutions that we, in our arrogance, overcomplicate, and we're just blind to. So, yeah, truly marvelous is the mind of a child. And there's the clocks. I knew the clocks were coming. Sounds good. It's raining. Yep, it is raining clocks. All right, everybody, I'm going to get ready to go. I'm going to go spend some time relaxing this evening. Hopefully, I got a busy week. Got some projects I get taken care of. You all, thank you. You've had some great questions. We'll see y'all next week. Of course, do check us out on Locals. Like I said, we are actually going to try and shift more content over there to make sure we don't lose content, make sure we don't lose the ability to communicate with the community and stuff like that. But you can bet until somebody tries to delete my channel, Magickal Coffee Hour will be here. And thank you all for understanding that my sanity has to actually come first. And until next time, everybody, take care. Keep working at it. Good night.